and welcome to the Sexy Aging podcast today. I'm super excited. I've got a sister from another mister just across the ditch, Ingrid Seaburn from the Ingrid Seaburn
Studio.
I can't even freaking read it.
That's all right. I said it for you.
No, it's okay. I'll start again. Because I can edit.
Yeah. You don't have to start again.
No, I do. I'll edit. So.
All right.
Okay. And welcome to the Sexy Aging podcast. Today I have a sister from another mister across the ditch, Ingrid Seaburn from the Sea Health Studio, one of Sydney's... Okay, what did I do wrong?
Okay. My last name is Seaburn.
Yeah. Did I say Sea Health?
Yeah.
This is
but
hilarious.
It's Ingrid Seaburn Skin Health Studio. It's okay.
I'm going to get it third time lucky. Okay, cool. All right. Take 3.
Okay.
And welcome to the Sexy Aging podcast. I'm going to get it right.
Wow.
I have the beautiful Ingrid Seaburn from the Skin Health Studio based in Sydney, one of Sydney's top 10 clinical skin treatment destinations. And I am super excited to have you here, Ingrid. Did I get it right?
No.
Okay, I just got to put a pause on this. And welcome to the Sexy Aging podcast. I have Ingrid from the Ingrid Seaburn Skin Health Studio, one of Sydney's top 10 clinical skin treatment destinations. Welcome to the show, Ingrid. It's awesome to have you here.
I'm so excited to join you, Tracy. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, why I'm excited is I sort of shared a little bit about with you, before we started recording this episode. So yeah. I mentioned how I was based up in Southeast Asia and then I relocated back to New Zealand 18 months ago and my skin went cray. I mean, some of it I'm aware of is that, I am perimenopausal and I know that hormones do affect a woman's skin in this stage of life. But yeah. I was like, okay, who can I talk to? I need to speak with someone who knows their shit and looks amazing.
Good lighting helps. Good lighting helps.
Yeah, we can learn that from you as well. So Ingrid, tell us a lot about yourself. I love to hear people's background stories, like how did you get into this? And you've actually also spent quite a lot of time overseas. And one more thing, you're known as the celebrity skin person.
I am, which I always feel a bit, silly saying that, but I guess that is sort of part of the brand, and I guess I have done that. So, but when I say that, it's like that is part of the brand, but every client is a celebrity.
They're all special, yeah.
They're all special. Honest to God, I love them all. So, but I started off. I mean, I moved to LA when I was, I was 30. And I had worked in music in Sydney and Melbourne, sort of through my 20s, nothing to do with skincare. Went overseas, met my now ex-husband and wanted to change in direction. So it started to train in skincare there. And LA was sort of obviously the mecca of skin science, glamour, celebrity, all that fabulous stuff, which I loved. And I just really, really wanted to learn a lot, and it was a great place to learn. So I did my training. We are actually going back 20 years. I can't believe I'm saying that, but 20 years. So the training was really great because obviously California and the US, very ahead of the game with, the latest in technology, the latest in skin science, all that stuff. So I felt like I was able to learn in the best place. It was a great place to set up a business. I got married, I started having kids, and it was sort of like I eased into it because I was honestly, very intent on starting a family, and I thought I'll just do this on the side. So it, on the side quickly became quite a full-time thing because LA is a funny place. Like Hollywood's a funny place because you kind of get if you are in, you're in. It's a bit, it's clicky. It's kind of like Sydney's a bit like that too. It's a bit, Bondi's a bit, it's clicky. It's not who you know, it's, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I just got very lucky, and through a girlfriend who was working on Desperate Housewives at the time, introduced me to a couple of the actresses who were on that show. And I really was just in the right place at the right time to start taking care of them. But having said that, it wasn't all luck, because I think, honestly, I'm not very good at many things, but skincare is just something that I just, have a natural talent for, I guess you'd call it.
Well, and I guess it's your purpose, right? It's your purpose. Yeah,
it's the touch. Yeah. And I was always intent on doing things my own way, and learning more and more as I went along, and just being the best therapist that I could be. So experience you can't buy, or you can't, and that sort of has come over time. But I was lucky, because once I was sort of in with that crowd, so to speak, then you get referred, and then you're trusted, and then but you have to also back that up with good work and knowledge. And I worked really hard, and I loved it though. I loved it. So if someone wanted to see me at, called me at 2:00 and said, can you come at 3:00? I would say yes. Yeah. Because I just, it was great. It was so much fun. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I never took it for granted. So the glamorous side of it was doing things like prepping for Golden Globes and the Emmys and things like that, where you just kind of pinch yourself and think like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm at Terry Hatcher's house, and I'm doing her face, and the makeup people are arriving next, and the chauffeur comes, and then she go off to the Emmys or the Golden Globes, and I would be like, I just can't believe, like, that is so cool. It was fun.
It is so cool. So who was your favorite client? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to rank them?
No, and some I mentioned, some I don't, because it's kind of weird. Like, privacy is a really big thing.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but I kind of do want you to tell me.
No, you know what? My favourite was Rachel Griffiths, who is an Australian actress. Yeah. So for me, there's that clique in Australia too, in the US, of Australians, when you meet another Australian. And I was there for 13 years. So I was there for a long stint, and, kids born there and all that stuff. So, but Rachel was, when you meet other Australians, I met her through, I used to go to the G'day LA event every year, which was fabulous. But Rachel was just so down to earth, and she was, and still is, one of the best actresses around. Yeah. She's now chosen to come back to Australia, so she's been back for a while too. But when she was in the US, I mean, she was on a lot of big shows. There was a show called Brothers and Sisters. She did some great movies. And she just, as a client, she was so down to earth that I can remember her with her third baby, literally, and she would be phoning me saying this, like breastfeeding her baby while she was having her facial. And like, I thought, that's so Australian. Like, she's so relaxed, like she was just gorgeous. But but everyone was lovely, but Americans are different to Australians or New Zealanders. They're kind of, they're just different. But everybody was fantastic, honest to God. Terry Hatcher was probably my biggest client in terms of, at that time, she was huge. I mean, she was really having her moment, and she was just delightful. I mean, and beautiful, like not hard to work on. And I have some sort of funny stories about her, but I used to go to her house, so that was always fun. Yeah. And George Clooney lived on that street, so I was always thinking, George, if you ever sadly, he never needed a treatment.
Well, you just slipped Terry a note to ask to pass to George, right?
I should have.
Yeah.
Should have.
In hindsight, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. So that was LA, and then I moved back. My marriage fell apart, but it was, not going well for a long time. And I think that you can live in paradise and be horribly unhappy because of whatever's going on in your marriage or your personal life. So that was tough. So I really felt like I was wanted to come home, and I didn't really want to have the kids go to high school in America. And though we lived in a great place, and LA was great, but so it was sort of time to come home, Tracy. And unfortunately, we sort of had come home to start again, and it didn't go well. So my ex-husband went back to the US. He's American, and so I sort of raised the kids here for the hard bit.
Yeah, the teenage years.
Yes.
Woo.
And my kids are now 20 and 18, sort of going on 21, 19. And I had to literally start again here because and this is sort of, I think a lot of women will relate to this. It's nothing to do with skin, but financial part of divorce. Yes. And this is what so many of my clients, like I was saying before, we have so much in common, our lives sort of turning out in unexpected ways, and having to deal with that, and go into survival mode and do all that stuff. So I kind of just had to start again because all our finances, life was all over there, and I couldn't get any access to it. Yeah. So people would say, why didn't you just start a clinic straight away? And I'd be like, I couldn't. So it was really a tough sort of, the last sort of 8 years has been like, I'm kind of proud of myself because I really have been in survival mode, and I've worked really hard to kind of get back to that place.
And Ingrid, I know a lot of women will resonate with that. I actually have quite a few close friends that are single mums that have also going through that journey, not accessing the finance to support their own children, and just having to grind, but manage to pick it up and take it to a place that they never thought possible, but they had no option. Right?
That's the key.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, how do you do it? Well, I had no option. What else was I going to do? Crawl up in fetal position in a corner. You just can't, especially when you've got kids. So, that was a huge thing for me, and a huge part of my story, actually.
You should be so proud.
Thanks,
so
Grace.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it resonates with so many women because there's some women who sort of come out of divorce, and I'm not bitter or anything. I'm not like, oh, he got this and he did that. But there's a lot of women that come out and they get a fair shake of things. But there's a lot of women that, like me, that there wasn't child support, whatever it was. And I think in a way it just makes you stronger, and you just feel so proud of the fact that you have done the hard yards, and there's definite reward in that. So, and it also makes me even more passionate about what I do, and I love what I do. I still love it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if this was the only part of the podcast, it would be so inspirational. I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing.
That's okay. I never share it, actually. I never share it I've never shared it like publicly, because I want people to think oh God, another, it's nothing to do with skincare, but I do think it's just such a common thread with women of my age.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
So it's sort of part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's it. And then I got that. Then I set up here, and I've been here for 3 years, and I just worked, and I'm in Bondi, and I just worked very hard to do all that. So so here I am. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you some questions on skin.
Yes. That turned into a silly life story, but anyway.
Oh no, it was beautiful. And I think actually if someone asked you, if they wrote it down, if they interviewed you for a woman's magazine or something, it might not come across the same as actually hearing you say it. So I feel honoured. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. As we age,
Yes.
I love aging. I just think about all the amazing things that come with aging. But one of the things that is challenging is our skin changes. Can
Yes.
you tell me about that? Like, what's actually happening to our skin, like physiologically, and things like stress? Does it really affect your skin? Can you open up that can of worms for us?
Sure. And it's a huge can of worms. So, but for aging, I mean, aging really, the definition of aging is the slowing down of cellular renewal. So if you think about every cell, your body is a bunch of cells. Every cell in your body, as you get older, slows down in the way that it renews, because every cell renews and regenerates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about your skin as the largest organ and that cellular renewal, that as we get older, that slows down. So what happens is and this is just from a purely skin point of view, your ability to manufacture collagen, to turn over that cellular rate, that rate of renewal, that all comes to a much slower sort of pace. So with that, your skin is no longer functioning like younger skin.
Mm.
And a lot of factors are involved in that. And all of them are a part of it. One is not, it's not just one thing. It's not just your skincare, though. That's very important. And I think that's a huge part of it that a lot of women don't realize. But also, obviously, lifestyle. UV damage, obviously takes its toll over a period of time. But when you talk about aging with the cellular renewal, the other thing that happens is that as we get older, and you would know this, that our hormonal levels change, and that's
Yes.
part of what we talk about with perimenopause and menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is those three big hormonal or hormones, estrogen, progesterone, which are the two female ones, and then testosterone, so they're the big three. The estrogen starts to slow down the formulating or the production of estrogen in your body, and progesterone, and the balance of it.
Yeah.
So, when your estrogen goes like that, estrogen plays a huge role in the production of collagen and the plumpness of your skin and the youthful look of your skin, and always the youthful functioning of your skin, how it sort of is. And that's something that all of a sudden women get to a certain age and they go, oh my God, like my skin is so dry, it's breaking out. I'm so sensitive, it's awful. And that's because there's a lot going on. Your hormones are a hot mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what happens with those breakouts, those perimenopause, because all of a sudden it's not so much that and every woman can have different levels of activity, but your hormone levels are just misbehaving and they're out of whack. Yeah. And the testosterone, and then the more estrogen you lose, sometimes that makes the balance a bit more testosterone, right? So that's when you get the breakouts, and then some people become more sensitive with progesterone, and then you start trying different supplements and different skin, and then it becomes just so messy that people go, I don't even know, I thought I was done with all this acne. Yeah. And and it can be not either or, it can be both at the same time. You can have breakouts but really dry skin.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, with aging. So yeah.
Hey, I've got a question that leads from that. So
yeah.
This is interesting because I don't know how it is in your world with treatments and your clients and them talking to you. So I'm not asking you to share in any detail. But, there is sort of two camps at the moment. There are people that are really happy to talk about menopause. And then there are the others that are like, oh, hey, I'm not having that conversation. Would you be able to tell from a client's skin that they might have started perimenopause even if they haven't spoken of it? Do you think that you'd be able to pick that up?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what are you noticing, especially in a client that you've probably been seeing for a number of years?
What I see is a level of, well, suddenly people, not everyone, but sometimes they start to break out here, which is the hormonal area.
I have that. You can't see it because I've got
like sometimes too.
Yeah, and I get a little bit here.
That's not so much hormonal, but that can just be, that can be the dryness, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So what I see is breakouts occurring that might not necessarily, people go, well, I'm 46, why am I getting breakouts? And then the other thing is that their skin becomes a lot more surface dry.
Yeah.
So they're what we call surface dehydrated. So that there's two levels in your skin. There's your dermis, which is like the engine room, and then the epidermis, which is the top layer. So their epidermis becomes sort of dry, like they always feel like their skin's dry. And the most interesting one is the sensitivity, the reactiveness. So their skin's immune response, because your skin has its own immune response, its own sort of immune reaction, they become more sensitive. So you go like that and they just go red. Like it's just, their skin just goes, I can't, what are you doing to me now?
Yeah.
So they're the three. And I can tell when women's hormonal changes are starting to happen, because those are the symptoms from a skin point of view.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've absolutely ticked all the boxes for me, like I have had and continue to have those issues. So I guess my next question is like, what can I do? Help me, Ingrid.
There's a lot you can do, but the most important thing is that you understand that it's not a one-shop stop. Is that the right?
Yeah, one fix for all kind of thing. Yeah,
it's really not. And or if there's not a magic cream that fixes it, so, and it's a cumulative. The thing I say to my clients all the time is like, skincare is like, it's such an accumulative process, good skin. Like you don't just wake up overnight, in your 50s and go like, well, I've done nothing and, now like I need it all fixed. Like it's not that easy. But from a hormonal point of view, what you have to do is, first of all, I'm not a doctor, so I can't advise on, what you want to do hormone balancing wise, but I will tell you this from a personal point of view. I am on HRT. I started it and I say it for me. That's not anyone else's decision, or, everyone's got a personal view on that. But for me, I weighed it up and I wanted the HRT for estrogen.
Yeah. Same. So I have progesterone and estrogen, and definitely it's helped.
So the hormone thing is really, that's not my department because I can't advise on that. I'm not a doctor, but I would say go see your doctor, get your hormones checked, hormone levels, and then discuss what your options might be, whether you think it's worth the risk, because it's a risk they're involved with, breast cancer for certain, like there was a study years ago. And if you have all that information, then you make that decision. From a topical point of view, you have to really think more about protecting the epidermal lipid barrier. So that is doing things that are not aggressive on your skin, from a topical, like with the epidermis. So we used to do a lot of really harsh peels and really aggressive microdermabrasion and all that stuff. So it's time to sort of go easy on that stuff and do things that will build and soothe and sort of soften and not irritate your epidermis. So the best ingredient to look for, serums are always where you spend your money.
Okay, this is the stuff I want to know now. Yeah. Like, from a products perspective, like where would you, and there's so many words and stuff I don't know, like, so you can help us with this. Like, what do we really need? Like, what you really need is the two things. So if you're working from, this is what I say to clients, that it's really important that you look at
spending your money on things that go down to your dermis and change the way that your skin functions at a cellular level. That's where you spend most of your money. They're your investments. Things like vitamin A, which is retinol. People get really confused about vitamin A because this is a whole other thing, but it has a conversion process in your skin, in your body. And full strength retinoic acid is very harsh. And years ago, it came in as sort of a treatment for oily skin and for acne. And it's effective because it regulates oil production, and it just changes. It's a star ingredient of the last 20 years. It changes or reverses a mutated cell. So it can reverse damage. But it can be very irritating in that full strength. But you want to get, so then in the conversion, retinol, retinaldehyde, retinoic acid, most companies will use retinol, which is the first stage of conversion. You'll see in serums retinol, NOL.
Yeah, NOL, yeah, got it.
But retinaldehyde, second stage, to me is retinol's good, but retinaldehyde, little more effective. You want to use a vitamin A that your skin will tolerate. The key word is tolerate. But you need vitamin A to slow down aging. There's no getting out of it. But you need it at a rate, a percentage, and with a delivery system that your skin will tolerate. So that's where you spend your money. The other thing is vitamin C, but not all vitamin Cs are equal. So antioxidants in general are, there's lots of different things that you can do, but vitamin C stimulates collagen production. And again, you want your vitamin C in, if you're going to look at, say if you're cupboard full of products, I always say you can go a little bit less expensive on the cleanser and the moisturizer because they're sort of like the bookends, but then you really do your research and go more medical grade on your serums because they're your investments. So get a good vitamin C serum, good vitamin A serum. So they're going to change how your skin functions at a cellular level. They're going to start to slow down that aging process. And, that's part of it. If you think about, you want your skin to act like younger skin. So that's going to help it to act. From a topical, that epidermal barrier that we talk about, that's when you want to use ingredients like niacinamide, which is B3, which helps your skin to strengthen that barrier. It improves your skin's immune response, and you want to build up a better relationship with your skin that it won't be afraid of what you're going to do to it. So you want to get that nice balance of, feeding all those active ingredients into your dermis, and then being really soothing and gentle with your epidermis so that you're not doing anything aggressive that is going to play havoc with that lipid barrier, which is sort of over many years gets really messed up.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a new thing in skincare too that we talk about now. So they're sort of the things that you need to do. You can't really solve it all unless you do really dermal active ingredients.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where it sort of changes how your skin acts.
Okay, got it. So, so we've got vitamin A and retinol. We've got vitamin C, and the third ingredient was
niacinamide. Niacinamide is B3. So they're sort of like the big ones. And peptides are another thing. So amino acid peptides in skincare are proteins that strengthen the bonds, the collagen bonds. So that's the other problem. When you lose estrogen, everything gets a bit like that, right?
Yeah, loose and hanging and
yeah. So the food,
saggy.
yeah, the jowls we used to call them. Yeah, it's a lovely word, jowls,
isn't it?
But yeah, so that's really important. But if you have a good active ingredient serum routine at home, then you're ahead of the game. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to talk to you about rosacea. I actually have had a couple of clients through the podcast say, can you ask a skincare expert about rosacea? Because it just seems to be something very, very difficult for people to get a handle on.
Yeah.
It could flare up under so many different conditions.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I've had it off and on over the
Yeah.
years, and
Yeah.
I got it down to alcohol.
Yeah.
Which just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Uh-huh.
Take away my last great fun night,
Yeah.
just so I wake up the next day with, you know, itchy, dry, red, raw skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you share with us, like, you know, what's your understanding of rosacea, and what's the most common um, reason that someone would flare up with it?
So rosacea is a really common problem for more mature women because rosacea is a result of many years of damage. And when I say damage, it's many years of your skin going through what it perceives as trauma. And trauma can be UV, sugar, alcohol, which is sugar,
Yeah.
you know, lifestyle habits, what you eat, all that stuff, you know. So if your body is has been through all that, and that actually I should include aggressive skincare treatments. Sometimes like aggressive skincare treatments, like what we call trauma-based treatments, are great. They're necessary, like needling and, you know, so like it's necessary. But what has happened for a lot of women now who've kind of developed rosacea is that over a period of time, they've done too much trauma to their skin. And when you do anything trauma-based, and I'm sorry, I'm veering away from, you know, the reasons to some of the treatments that happen and then what happens to skin after that many treatments. If you do like a peel and you ask your skin to heal from that trauma, because a peel, like a high percentage glycolic peel or something, is a your body perceives as a wound. So it's reacting to an injury, right? Mm-hmm. You've put acid on, you've burnt your skin, you're asking your body to go into wound healing mode. So that's what the definition of a trauma-based treatment is, a trauma-based peel or whatever. If you don't allow your body or your skin to heal from that inflammation, that short-term inflammation, which is natural and necessary for the wound healing to begin, then you run into problems. And what women were doing was doing like a peel and then sort of like doing another peel and then doing a microdermabrasion and then doing like glycolic at home and then doing all this stuff. And their skin was just going, I haven't even had a chance to heal yet. So what happens over a period of time is that rosacea is just your skin's reactiveness to trauma, right? Mm. So your skin just goes like, oh my God, what are you doing to me now? And whatever that trauma is, whatever you're sensitive to, some people it's like alcohol, you know, it sort of flares up that literally those messages in your body say, we need to come to that area to heal the wound, or this is our reaction to it. Yeah. That's trauma-based rosacea. And rosacea really is like, it can be like, it's literally broken capillaries. So then it sort of feeds into your skin's immune response and your skin's ability to deal with all the trauma. Does that make sense? So
yeah, it does. And
so
also,
then you sort of just got to avoid those things that you know are the triggers.
Yeah, I know. Actually, when you said the list, I'm like, yeah, all of that. Yeah. Like this, you know, like growing up on the beach, right, in New Zealand or Sydney. Yeah. And you know, back in the day, and we never had sunblock or anything. So, you know, that our teenage years, we just had skin trauma year after year after year, and it was like a rite of passage. Yeah. And then, you know, just sort of bad dietary habits through your 20s, and sometimes it goes on longer. But I mean, it definitely makes sense to me now. And I think also the years that I spent running in the wind, you know, like out, because I was a runner, so I'd run and I lived in a really windy part of New Zealand, and
the elements will do it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. All right.
So and some people get it and some people don't, but it depends on what your skin's been through and how your body's decided to react to it.
So a little bit of payback.
Yeah, for some people
shit.
too, like it's like genetic, you know, like it's just like there's so many parts to it. But but that's the reason.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for spending the time to clear that up, because I actually have asked other people too, and I didn't really get a full comprehensive answer. So that was brilliant. We actually spoke about something sort of offline, and we talked about aging, or reverse sexism as you called it, which I really liked. So you look amazing, and obviously, you know, you've got the tools and the you know, products, or you have the ability to tap into looking after your skin, and it does you do look like the brand of well cared for skin, so that's awesome. So we're not going to talk numbers here, but we were just having a good old kind of girlfriend gas about, you know, men at 58. Tell me about that, like, what's your take on that?
Well, I reckon that there's a bit of like reverse. What's ageism, isn't it? It's in the reverse. So if you see a guy like who's in his 50s and he's dating a 35-year-old woman, no one bats an eye. No one says anything. It's normal, even younger. But if you have like a woman in her 50s and she's dating a younger guy, then she's a cradle snatcher, or it's a bit weird, or she's desperate, or she's this, or, you know, like he couldn't but really like her for her. And I just think that's sort of society's take on it. And so that annoys me, because why is that they're that double standard? Like why, like I like younger men, right? But it's just that, like, I think, why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? Why does that? And also the problem is that I do think, well, actually it's not a problem. I do think that it's great that we now have really good role models that are women in their 50s, like Jennifer Aniston, you know, Liz Hurley, I was saying Salma Hayek, who else? I mean, all these girls look so...
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh my God.
Like, if that's not the definition of sexy in your 50s, and she just rocks it. And I just think that kind of there's this new woman in her 50s role model out there that is so inspiring, and just says we're still here, we're still sexy, we're still, you know, can wear whatever we want, you know, and we're wise, and we're amazing, we're a great catch. So it's just, I think that's starting to change, but I still do think there's that little bit of reverse sexism, or is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, you and I are calling it that, and I agree. I know what you're talking about. I mean, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but I married a much younger man.
Yes, you did. I think I high-fived you.
And I don't think about it much until, you know, I might have this conversation with someone. I don't think about it at all, but I do possibly think that it keeps me youthful, because you know, I want to keep doing lots of activities. I want to keep doing, you know, the jogs and the runs and the hikes and all the things that we like to do together. There's all of that, but I think that feeling youthful.
I feel youthful.
Yeah, you look youthful too.
When I say like I kind of like younger men, people mostly say, well, you know, you really should go for someone like your own age. Well, why? Why? Well, why? I mean, if, you know, it's not really age, by the way. It's not about the age. It's about the person, all that stuff. But I'm just saying, from my personal point of view, I feel quite young. And I still, you know, I'm still like, I just don't, it's just who I am. So why do I have to conform to whatever society thinks? I don't know. It just seems, but I do think those role models are changing that a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm like, yes.
I mean, so, you know, J-Lo put out a documentary recently on Netflix, and I was enthralled. And I actually cried a few times, because she was so genuine, and you could feel like the challenges that she's gone through, and yet I don't think I've seen a woman work so hard. And like, what about that Super Bowl? I mean, who can keep up with that?
Amazing.
Right? Incredible.
Amazing.
So and I just happened to see a little dance video of you, Ingrid. I freaking love it. And I think that's one of the reasons I gravitate towards these women, that they know who they are and they find that joy in movement and expressing themselves. And it just makes me go, that's living, that's sexy, you know? Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I love all that stuff. I used to dance a little bit when I was younger, and I still love to do it. So I just do it because it makes me feel happy and I enjoy it. And, you know, and I share that because, like, it's really just me saying, like, well, I'm just doing stuff that makes me happy, and like, and there's no age limit on what I do or what I, you know, I enjoy it. And the sexy part, like, you know, that's all good too. Like, we should be, like, I don't even like the word aging.
No, it's a shit word, Ingrid.
It's a shit word. But what else can we say? But, you know, unfortunately, we can't stop time. But
growing. Why can't we use growing? We're still growing. We haven't stopped, you know?
I reckon we just...
evolving?
It's just a number. But I don't feel... as long as I still feel I can do those things and move around and jump around, I will continue to do it until I can't. Yeah.
Oh, Ingrid, you're such an inspiration. And thank you so much for coming on the Sexy Aging podcast. You epitomize, I'm going to say more sexy than aging, because aging's a shit word, but yeah. You're wonderful.
Thanks. I was just going to say one thing. One thing I was going to say is, like, I was really impressed, like, just that your podcast was called Sexy Aging, because here's the thing, you know, when women talk about aging now, it's like aging gracefully, but as if like sexy and graceful are two different things, and they're really not. You can still age and be graceful, and like, you don't have to give up your sex appeal when you hit a certain number. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you don't have to like cut your hair a certain way because you're supposed to do that over 50 or whatever they say. Like, and I love that your podcast was called that, because sexy and aging and graceful aging, same thing, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to challenge the norm, to be honest. I just wanted to create a talking point that people are like, what, can you be sexy and aging? And I'm like, absolutely you can.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why we're here.
Just being all sexy.
Yeah, thanks, Ingrid.
I've loved it, Tracy. Thank you.